broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web. You're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Well, hello and welcome to Overcoming Family. I'm Lindsay Glass.
And I'm Leslie Glass.
And we are a mother-daughter writing team. Overcoming Family dives into real talk on healing family wounds, mothers, fathers, siblings, children, in-laws. We give honest insights, expert tools, and hope to transform your toughest and often most important relationships. So we have a lot of announcements, but we're going to talk about it later because we have a big topic today. Today we are going to talk about overcoming children. Not an easy one, not something that a lot of people are comfortable talking about, but we're going to delve into all the issues and really try and help all parents out there make sense of their feelings around overcoming their own children. So
let's dive right in because parenting is really crazy right now.
So this is the thing, right? We dream of raising perfect kids. Did you dream of raising perfect kids?
You know, I just wanted to raise healthy kids.
Right. But what happens when our children become our biggest challenge? And children are challenging whether they have issues of their own or not. Just raising children is challenging. But when children do have issues of their own, it can be, well, you know, what was the biggest surprise for you, Mom? Because you were talking about it earlier.
Well, I think the biggest surprise for me was how hard it is to raise children in the first place. So remember, every parent is a parent for the first time. And for me, I thought of myself as an experiment, and that is, could I be a full-time mom and a best-selling author at the same time? And the answer was no. So,
well, what you were talking about was that you didn't realize how all-encompassing your children's problems became for you.
Well, I think when you think of younger children, you know, you may be concerned about your office and your work if you're a working parent. But when your children have any kind of difficulties, whether it's third grade or middle school or high school or college, you really become completely involved with what you can do to help and sometimes you become overwhelmed. So what are you responsible for? What are you not responsible for? What can you do? What should you do? What shouldn't you do? And Lindsay, you don't have children right now, but you're a dog mom. How is it for you?
Well, I'll be honest. I did not want to have children. I was not an easy child. Our family situation was not easy. I was a little bit worried about having a child that would have alcoholism, which I have, which other members of the family have.
And in our family.
And I knew what a painful life that can be. You know, not everybody wins that battle. It's a tough life, and I was scared of having an out-of-control child. I really was.
And maybe you were concerned that you weren't going to be up to the challenge of taking care of another person with problems.
That's a really good insight. I wouldn't have said it like that. I wasn't thinking about being able to care for something else. I was worried about whether or not I would want to.
Yeah.
So here's what's interesting. I am a dog mom. I've owned dogs. You know, one of the things my parents did do for me that was wonderful was they always gave me dogs. So from the age of 7, you let me have dogs.
Absolutely.
So I am a dog mom, and I always have been. And what strikes me about even parenting an animal is that I will complain about my own medical costs. I will be so cheap. I will complain about the $50 copay. But if the dog needs a $3,000 surgery, which he does right now, I find the money to do that. I go into my savings, I pull out. So imagine if it was a kid with heart disease or, you know, having So that's what kind of gets me. What would I have to do to take care of a child that was struggling? And it seems very overwhelming for me. So was it overwhelming?
I think it always comes as a surprise if you have a child with special needs. It comes as a surprise, and you're not ready for it. I wasn't ready to have teen addicts in my life when I was working, so I was so busy working, and you're not prepared for it, and sometimes you just become completely overwhelmed with their emotions, their needs, their whatever it is. You were talking about family holdout in terms of not going to the doctor because it costs you $3,000 to get his teeth pulled. But yeah, I mean, I know so many parents who are mortgaging their houses,
right,
so their kids can go to school or so that they can have dance.
Keep going to rehab.
Keep going to rehab is another one. Yes.
All right, so let's back up a little bit and give a little foundation to this conversation. So when it comes to parents, one of the biggest things is, do you control them or are you going to influence them? So can you, as the parent, talk a little bit about why parents struggle to let go as children grow?
Well, as I said before, we're all parents for the first time. And in the early years, your job as a parent is to keep your child safe. So you're teaching your child all the time what they need to do to be safe. So you're also teaching them, eat this, don't eat that, go here, don't go there. Where's your coat? Where's your homework? Do your homework. So you're struggling to get your kids to do the things that they need to do to meet their milestones. But then as your children get older, when they're in middle school and high school, there's a time when you need to let them make mistakes. And that was something I didn't do with you.
So let's delve into that for a quick second before we move on. You were very fearful.
Oh, terrified.
So your mother was very phobic.
My mother was very phobic.
And didn't really let you do anything.
No.
And you were very phobic. And I did things even though you wanted me not to do.
Well, wait a minute. I think in my day, my parents let me go to Europe when I was 15 years old. And I let you go to Europe when you were 15 years old. So I think we did have some freedom. But
in some areas, yes. In other areas, no.
Right. So, I mean, talking about freedom and control, that's interesting. But I was very phobic. I was afraid of your getting in trouble.
I want to say something to parents, parents who are very, and listen, I'm not saying there aren't real dangers. Getting into an Uber,
yes,
traveling by yourself,
going to parties.
Yes, what can happen to kids out at night. There are real dangers, and one has to teach and prepare their children how to be safe. At the same time, when your phobias, when you're constantly putting your fear on your kids, you did make me a little phobic about some things. Now as an adult, I have some phobias. So it's interesting how that trans.
Well, I think I was worried. I think we worry about our children failing, and that's the point that we're talking about here. Part of it is that I was afraid that you would fail out, you would fall out of school, you'd flunk out of school, you wouldn't get into college. My parents were afraid of that. And what happens if you don't go to college?
So that's literally the next point in this conversation. It leads into, it's the illusion that we can fix them.
Well, what if your child doesn't do well in school?
Where does your responsibility lie? Like, do you get the kid a tutor, or do you sit there and make sure they're doing their homework every night? Are you doing their homework?
Well, the important thing is that you don't do their homework.
Right.
I think all of the above. I think you try to find the resources your child needs, whatever they are.
So they can help themselves.
So they can help themselves.
You don't do the fixing.
You don't do the fixing.
And you and Dad did a lot of
fixing. Oh, yes, I did.
I would get in trouble at school. I would get in trouble left and right, but there was a lot of bailing me out, and not legally, but in other ways. So I do think that that desire to fix things that parents have can really infantilize a kid and prevent them from growing up.
And this is one of the things we need to learn very, very, very early, and that is, well, let your children fail in little ways.
That's right. Let your children fail in little ways. So, because failure is part of life, and I've been failing as a writer for 20 years before I got published. So you think that, and I did lots of other things, but there was this cloud hanging over my head, whereas, if you experience a lot of failure growing up, but know that it's part of getting to success, I think that's a different experience.
I think that's really important. There's no shame in having your child flunk out of something.
No, that's true. So another big thing, and then we're going to get into the crisis zones, because I think that's the most important thing to talk about today, but I think for a lot of parents, it's identity shock. It's your child is starting to grow up, and let's talk about our experience. I looked like you, but I was making very different choices. I was changing my hair color. I was changing the way I looked. I was wearing very different clothes than you. I had a lifestyle that was quite different from yours. You were a healthy eater. I was not. I was not somebody who was interested in exercise or spirituality when I was growing up. So that's, I think, tough for parents, right? I birthed this person. It looks like me.
And it's nothing like me.
Right. How did that feel?
I'm Miss Prepster. And you were baggy jeans how did it feel for me? I kept thinking you'd grow up and get more stylish. I kept thinking by the time you go to college you'll be more stylish. But actually you've always had your own. So I guess that can be very, very challenging for parents when their daughters are either exhibitionists, which you weren't,
right,
or they just don't look. They just don't look
right
the way your family values are.
And talking about family values, we this wasn't part of our story, but what if your child has a lifestyle that isn't in line with your religious beliefs or your cultural beliefs, or maybe culture is really important in your family and your child is not dating within the culture,
or not dating, or doesn't have friends.
Right.
There's a lot of grief that you can have over the problem.
Or your kid has friends and doesn't want to be your best friend.
Oh, that was one of our problems.
So dealing with a child that is quite different from you, a lot of parents can feel a lot of grief around. So we want to say that that's normal.
Yeah,
it's really, really normal. And it's helpful to be accepting, but we also know that it's totally normal to feel grief that your kid doesn't.
Absolutely, and this is one of the things when we talk about overcoming family, overcoming children, is overcoming the idea that they're just not going to be what you want them to be. They're just not.
Wow, that's a really tough thing to accept.
It is, but a lot of parents do.
So when we were in our 4-year breakup, that's a big part of our story, and it's why we do this show. It's why we write the books that we write on family wellness. We had a 4-year separation, and in that time, I grieved because I believed that we would never be able to be the mother and daughter that I hoped we would be. So I think it's very, very normal to experience pretty extreme grief when your family relationships are not only not what you hope for,
but you don't have them at all.
Or they're very toxic.
A lot of grief there.
There's a lot of grief. So the next thing we just don't want to miss, because it's so important, the common crisis zone. So you have kids, you hope that they're perfect. Sometimes they're beautiful little angels when they're little, and then they start to grow up. And here are the things that can happen. They can have learning disabilities, which I have some friends who have learning disabilities, and they have children with learning disabilities, and it is very difficult for them. They feel guilty. They hate seeing their children struggle in school. They don't really know how to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
In our case, we had addiction and mental health struggles. And again, I talked about not wanting to be a parent because I didn't want to see a child that was saying, I want to kill myself.
And we do have friends whose children have, as 8-year-olds, have said, I want to kill myself.
I can't imagine going through that. So, and again, it's not from a judgment place. It's just from a place of, this is tough emotional stuff, and it's not what you necessarily expect when that baby comes out. So there's also financial dependence, estrangement, and some of these more serious lifestyle clashes.
I want to go back to learning, though, for a minute, because your children don't learn, your children don't all learn the same. Some children learn faster than others. Some children take more time, and you think that they haven't got the skills that they need, but they have other skills. So we talk about emotional IQ. So there's the IQ, but there's also the EQ, and sometimes children with great EQ don't do well on tests. And that doesn't mean that they're not going to be very successful in life.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I also want to add, just because you have a child that is struggling with alcoholism or mental health struggles, even well into adulthood, it doesn't mean they will always.
Yeah.
My recovery journey started at the age of 21, and it didn't cement until I was 29. And we have other people who are very close to us who did not find a healthy sobriety until they were in their mid-30s.
Yeah.
And they are now married with children of their own, with a wonderful recovery program, dealing with their mental health issues, on their meds. So, yes, when it comes to learning, when it comes to recovery, everybody's individual, and everybody's going to have their own path. And just because it doesn't look good right now doesn't mean that the person you love isn't going to have their white light moment.
But parenting somebody who's going through that, as a parent who is going through the child's recovery, you do feel a tremendous amount of, there's no question that you feel guilt. And you also feel a lot of shame. I'm a bad parent. I'm helpless because I can't get this kid on track.
So let's stop there for a second, because whether your kid is dealing with autism and you're struggling with that, whether your kid is dealing with any of these issues, the guilt about feeling that you failed or the shame that people will think you have done a bad job is overwhelming. We've also done a little research. I don't have the exact stats in front of me, but parenting children in crisis and with autism is one of the biggest causes of divorce.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
So one of the things we really want anyone out there to think about, parents, animal parents, anyone in any of these difficult situations, is how to reframe, okay? Because it's not your fault. If recovery has taught us anything, you didn't cause this, you can't cure it, and you can't control it, right? So the only thing you can do as a parent or a guardian or somebody who loves somebody is reframe your thinking and come to terms with the fact that this is their path, and your job now is to love and guide them, not to control them, not to fix them, not to make them better, but just offer love, compassion, support, and the kind of tools that will help get them on their path.
And this is particularly challenging, Lindsay, because often when you're offering your help and your love and your support, the person you're trying to help is very angry at you. So I think we need to talk about that as well. So that's why parenting someone in addiction or someone recovering from addiction, they're not going to be...
No, they're screaming at you to leave them alone.
Yes.
And you ruined my life.
That's right. So being supportive sometimes means you have to really detach a little bit. You're not responsible. You're not responsible for everything. You do the best that you can, but you have to be able to walk away, sleep at night. You have to be able to sleep at night. And I know from personal experience that when you go to bed every night, you're worried about what can happen when your eyes are closed.
Absolutely. And we are absolutely going to talk about some tips and techniques that parents can actually get into that will help them if they are in that kind of a situation. We're also going to talk a bit about how parents can take care of themselves, their own self-care and wellness, because you can't, it's the whole airplane analogy. You can't put somebody else's oxygen mask on first. You have to put on your own oxygen mask. You have to stabilize and balance yourself and then you will be in a position to help your loved one. So I just want to do a couple of announcements before we go to a break. We do have a new workbook out.
Yes.
So what Leslie and I are famous for, Leslie's written lots of books, but we wrote a book in 2024 called The Mother-Daughter Relationship Makeover, 4 Steps to Heal the Love. That book was an Oprah's book club pick. It said, read this book if you don't get along with your mom. Well, we just did the follow-up companion. It is now out and for sale. So we would love it if you went to our website and checked that out at reachoutrecovery.com. But we really want you to stay with us because after the break, we're going to share our story and more. Because even when things seem hopeless, change is possible. So hearing stories of success can be really, really helpful. And we are going to talk about how really rebranded herself in our separation and how I went on as a child who had felt, controlled, who went on to find my own path after conflict. So definitely stay with us. Don't leave because we've got stories of struggle and healing coming up. And then after that, we've got takeaway tips and tools that really will help your life today, because that's the goal, tips that will help today. So stay with us.
Stop enabling being codependent and being in a dysfunctional family dynamic. If this sounds like something you need, then ReachOutRecovery.com can help. A pioneer in providing wellness information and resources which address not only addiction and recovery, but mental health and relationships. ReachOutRecovery.com is your first stop for help, with over 2,000 easy-to-understand mental health and relationship articles, and award-winning self-help books, courses, and so much more. So don't wait. Visit ReachOutRecovery.com and get the help you need now. Stop enabling being codependent and being in a dysfunctional family dynamic. If this sounds like something you need, then ReachOutRecovery.com can help. A pioneer in providing wellness information and resources which address not only addiction and recovery, but mental health and relationships. ReachOutRecovery.com is your first stop for help, with over 2,000 easy-to-understand mental health and relationship articles, and award-winning self-help books, courses, and so much more. So don't wait. Visit ReachOutRecovery.com and get the help you need now.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
There's a place called ReachOutRecovery.com, and here there is a wonderful store which has a plethora of transformative books, posters, and downloads for recovery and personal growth. There's fun things with purpose, too, like a gorgeous best-selling coloring book with journal prompts for step work healing, teen guide to health, and workbooks recommended by Oprah's Book Club. Come to ReachOutRecovery.com and visit their store. There's bound to be something you, a family member, or a friend can use. Go there now, the store at ReachOutRecovery.com. Leslie and Lindsay Glass offer a curriculum of transformational tools with 3 other books. It's a way to learn information with fun activities, discussions, journaling, and more. Whether you are an individual or a group, these curriculums have been taught successfully in recovery and reentry programs all over the country. The Teen Guide to Health and 100 Tips for Growing Up is perfect for any group working with teens. Leslie and Lindsay can even customize curriculums and teacher trainers. To get more info, use the Contact Us tab at ReachOutRecovery.com.
The Bright Side of Talk, HealthyLife.net.
Overcoming Family. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Leslie.
And today we are talking about overcoming children.
Well, can you imagine? Lindsay and I were relationship experts who couldn't manage our own relationship. We fought so much, even though we were writing together, and we were actually quite successful with what we were doing.
Give them some context. We had this big fight, but we were both already in recovery.
Yes. Yes.
So we were sober, and we were running a recovery website together during the time of when we had this breakup. Yes. So it's one of the reasons we write the books that we do is it's from our experience that our story it's not enough just for me to have gotten sober. We had to really change our communication styles and so many things about the way we dealt with each other to heal our relationship. But so our story of struggle and healing, it really started a long time ago. But our breakup happened as adults. So what were our issues?
I think we were fighting about finances. We were fighting about responsibility.
But there was some control stuff because,
well, I wanted you to be healthy. I wanted you to knuckle down and not be impulsive. And that when you're dealing with someone in recovery, they have to learn their own self-control, self-regulation. You can't have your boss, who's also your mother, telling you how to be, what to do.
So we were codependent.
We
were enmeshed. And here's the thing, and I talk about this a lot because I have all the understanding in the world that when you have been the parent of an alcoholic and you haven't seen years of new behavior, it's very hard to trust them. It's not that you think they're automatically going to lie to you or do something bad. It's that you're scared. You've had decades of unstable behavior. You've had decades of scary things happen. And I have all the understanding in the world today of why you were like that. But when I was a 30-something and I had my mom going, did you eat? Did you do this? Did you do that? I was an adult who needed to learn how to be an adult, and having my mother try and put it on me. So we had this complete breakdown fight, and I disappeared for 4 years. And I will first talk about being a child who found their own path after conflict. So for the parents out there who just look at their child and think, how is this going to get better? I need to tell you that until I ran off and was completely on my own and was broke and had to become self-supporting and had to find other jobs and had to find places to live and pay for them, I don't think I was ever going to be a fully functioning adult had I not had to do that. And it was my choice to go down that road. It was a very difficult road. But I have no doubt today that it was transformational in how I saw myself. It was self-esteem through esteemable acts. I finally knew that I could take care of myself. And in your loss, which we'll talk about in a moment, it became clear that I could take care of myself because years passed and I was working and I was okay and I hadn't relapsed. But it's always funny for me to try and talk to parents who are very, very worried about a child and kind of unwilling to let go, because even though they're doing their best to help and make things better, I truly believe some people need to not hit a rock bottom, but kind of find their way and not have people just bailing them out and getting them out of trouble constantly. I don't think it's helpful. So one of the things we wanted to talk about on today's show was what it was like for you to have to reinvent yourself when suddenly your children were adult and not really in your life.
Well, first of all, I want to go back to one thing that you said, Lindsay. Every human is different. So you had the desire to be all right. You were not self-destructive in the ways that would have you end up on the street. So what was it like for me? I didn't know that you were going to be all right. So my daughter had ghosted me. I didn't know where she lived. I didn't know what she looked like. I didn't know what she was doing. I didn't know if she could support herself. I didn't know if she had relapsed. So I had to determine. First I was broken. And then, as a couple of years went by, I was really thinking, who am I without her? And I had to discover who I was without her. So how did I do that? I mean, I was concerned that the work that we had done together was worthless because we failed. in our own relationship. So, but I kept working at it because we had employees. But I also found my own way, my own pleasures, my own friends, my own dinner parties, my own hobbies, and I came through it to the other side.
You also got into a relationship.
I got into a relationship.
So,
and I might never have gotten into a relationship if you were in my life.
Right.
Because I was so enmeshed with you.
Well, one of the other things we were talking about was if you become too embroiled in your kids' issues, you forget who you are and what your own pleasures are.
Absolutely.
So if you've been a full-time parent to some special needs situation and suddenly you don't have that kid to take care of, or your alcoholic is on the street and you need to make some boundaries, you really have to see who you are.
Who you are.
And how to enjoy life when you're not spending 100% of your time worried about
and all your finances. And all your finances. Bailing them out, taking care of them. And we know a lot of families who have used all of their resources to try and get kids sober who are resistant year after year after year. So how do you make the decision of when you stop that? And should you stop that?
And this is the kind of worksheet that we do put in our workbooks, because it isn't until you actually are writing down the specifics that you can figure it out.
When you're in the middle of it,
you just don't know.
You don't know what's going on when you're in the middle of it if you're not examining.
And sometimes you have to do an assessment of your relationship.
I think you do. I think you always need to be doing refreshers.
Do I walk away from every conversation upset?
Yes.
Is this person not showing any kindness or compassion towards me?
Yeah.
These are actual facts to consider as you decide what you're going to do. So, kids have to move on. Parents have to move on. The kids can't be too embroiled with problematic parents. That happens too.
Yeah.
So I do want to acknowledge that. Sometimes a kid can be so obsessed with taking care of a problematic parent that this can go the other way. But today we are talking about overcoming children, so we'll keep it to that. But the main takeaway from this is you can't change your child. You can change yourself, and you can change the space between you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, you can change the emotions between you too.
That's right. So stick with us, because the next segment is the best. It's tips and tools to reframe expectations, create boundaries, and lots of ways to start focusing on yourself so that you can feel, if not happy, at least calm and peaceful for a few moments throughout your day. So stay with us, don't leave, come back. We're going to do takeaways, tips, and tools for overcoming your children.
There's a place called ReachOutRecovery.com, and here there is a wonderful store which has a plethora of transformative books, posters, and downloads for recovery and personal growth. There's fun things with purpose, too, like a gorgeous best-selling coloring book with journal prompts for step work healing, teen guide to health, and workbooks recommended by Oprah's Book Club. Come to ReachOutRecovery.com and visit their store. There's bound to be something you, a family member, or a friend can use. Go there now, the store at ReachOutRecovery.com.
Audiobooks gives you instant access to over 50,000 of the best sellers and hottest book titles in romance, mystery, fiction, and many other genres. Just visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Audiobooks to get started.
Leslie and Lindsay Glass offer a curriculum of transformational tools with 3 other books. It's a way to learn information with fun activities, discussions, journaling, and more. Whether you are an individual or a group, these curriculums have been taught successfully in recovery and reentry programs all over the country. The Teen Guide to Health and 100 Tips for Growing Up is perfect for any group working with teens. Leslie and Lindsay can even customize curriculums and teacher trainers. To get more info, use the Contact Us tab at ReachOutRecovery.com.
You have too little time to shop. So try Farm Fresh to You. They deliver organic food the way nature intended, delivered straight to your home or office, economically. Visit our web advertiser page and click on Farm Fresh to You now.
Coming from experience, Lindsay and Leslie Glass navigated the rocky waters and found 4 powerful steps that brought back the love after things got broken, providing healing, understanding, and a way to rewrite their story. Now you can rewrite your own story using their acclaimed book, The Mother-Daughter Relationship Makeover. It addresses triggers, traumas, forgiveness, and more. Get your copy of The Mother-Daughter Relationship Makeover at ReachOutRecovery.com or wherever fine books are sold. That's ReachOutRecovery.com. Stop enabling, being codependent, and being in a dysfunctional family dynamic. If this sounds like something you need, then ReachOutRecovery.com can help. A pioneer in providing wellness information and resources which address not only addiction and recovery, but mental health and relationships. ReachOutRecovery.com is your first stop for help, with over 2,000 easy-to-understand mental health and relationship articles, and award-winning self-help books, courses, and so much more. So don't wait. Visit ReachOutRecovery.com and get the help you need now.
Uplifting Talk. HealthyLife.net.
Well, hello and welcome back to Overcoming Family. Today we are talking about overcoming parents, and this is, as always, my favorite segment because what we do best, we have a company called Reach Out Recovery, website, reachoutrecovery.com, and what we do best is tips and tools for self-help. This is our sweet spot. So, from reacting to responding to now we're going to talk about how to rebuild peace and connection. So, the first one, and I hate it when my mom says brilliant things during the break. Nothing drives me more crazy, but she was talking during the break about reframing expectations. So do you want to talk about that?
Well, Lindsay, first of all, our show today is about overcoming children, not overcoming parents. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
But have to say it as it is. So let me talk. So we'll talk about reframing expectations. If you have a child who is not growing up to be the person that you want, is not the adult that you want, or the person who's in recovery and taking a long time to just get up to the mark, it's very important to reframe your expectations. So I'm going to tell you about a little story about a friend of mine. She was a fancy writer for the New York Times. Her husband was a PR executive. They were very highfalutin. And they had a son who was in recovery, and he owned a scuba shop in, I think it was in Palm Beach, Florida. And they bemoaned him and talked about him and over about how he could do so much better with his life, and he didn't have friends, and he just did this scuba shopping thing. And I said, this guy is a great success. This is a success story. He is doing what he loves. He is living where he loves. He is very involved in the recovery community, and he's sober. And they said, oh, I said, he doesn't want to be a writer for the New York Times. He doesn't want to live in New York City. This is his path, and he's doing very well at it. And it never occurred to them that basically it's their wishes and their thoughts. So I hope that it reframed their thoughts for them. But it's very important, and certainly when Lindsay was in recovery, and I didn't really care whether she wrote screenplays or she worked in a T-shirt shop. My only goal for Lindsay, my thought as a parent, let her choose her own path. If she can be sober, that's awesome. And if she can earn a living at whatever level, that's great. So
that's a really important thing. We can't compare a child with struggles to what you think they should be. So I love that. The next one on our list is communicate without control. So we write a lot about communication. Communication is so important. We communicate with people by the way we look at them, our body language, the expressions on our face when they walk in the room. Everybody knows that look of disapproval that somebody has for them. And I remember, it's fascinating, you say, I would have been happy if you were doing whatever, but, I really had all this pressure on myself, so it's interesting. But I think when you talk about communicating without control, what we're talking about is words that invite things instead of kind of telling you what to do. So instead of, here's what you should do, or are you eating,
Have you applied for this job? Have you done this?
Well,
Have you done that?
It's more like, tell me how you feel.
Yeah.
How are you thinking about this?
Mm-hmm.
Are you happy with your health?
Mm-hmm.
Even asking questions that bring up a discussion as opposed to just something where somebody feels incredibly, incredibly judged. So pay attention to the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Right.
Because you've often said, I regret a lot of the things I said as a parent because I didn't know. I wasn't right. I was saying what I thought, but we don't always know what's right.
No, we don't know what's right. And often our children are not telling us what they feel. They're not telling us what they're feeling. They're not telling us about their shame. They're not telling us about their fears of failure.
Right.
And so when we make suggestions, have you tried this? Have you done that? Do you go to meetings? You're putting pressure on them instead of inviting them to tell you what's happening inside of them. Because if you have a discussion about it, then maybe you can be more helpful.
That's very true. Now, there are two more on the list. I do not want to run out of time because these are very important. So, parents, do your own healing. Right? So often our triggers come from our own parents and unmet needs. So you may be feeling triggered by your child. You may be feeling angry, enraged, resentful, whatever you're feeling. But how many of your needs are going unmet right now? Seriously, when you stop to think, are my needs being met in this family? Are my emotional needs being met?
Never.
Right. Are my physical needs being met?
Never.
So if you're parenting and you're in crisis, the first thing we really want you to do is to take care of yourself.
Right.
And I hate to say it, but I say it as somebody who has used, alcohol and other things as medication. If you find yourself drinking or having to take pills regularly to deal with the situation you're in, we're not here to judge that at all. Trust me, we've been there. But what we are here to say is that's a tricky road. It's a slippery slope because you don't want your solution to anxiety to become another problem. So pay attention to how you are dealing with your own needs. Do you need some therapy? Do you need a support group? Do you need to read some books on what's going on? It's very easy to feel frustrated. It's much harder to do the kind of work that'll make it better.
Well, I also wanted to talk about setting compassionate boundaries.
Very important.
Very important because love doesn't mean enabling. Love doesn't mean trying to fix every problem and every crisis that comes along. So when you talk about taking care of yourself, one of the ways you can take care of yourself as a parent is to understand what you can do, what you should do, and what you shouldn't do for your loved one. And it doesn't matter whether that is a person who has a physical illness or an emotional illness or is just trying to use up every bit of energy that you have. It's very important to understand what you can and what you can't do, and then, also take care of yourself. So if that means taking X amount of time to play your games or to do your hobbies or to have some peace or to read a book. I mean, when you're in the middle of taking care of other people, sometimes it's very hard to just even read a book for an hour.
It's impossible.
It's very hard.
So if you are somebody who's very time-strapped, we recommend, even if you can find 5 minutes at the beginning of your day, end of your day, in your car, finding a few minutes of joy throughout the day is absolutely critical to find that place of strength and fortitude to be able to keep going.
I remember that it was really important for me that when I had all the family struggles, and I wasn't listening to music anymore. And music can really lift your spirits. There were a lot of things that I could have done that I wasn't doing.
Well, I'm so glad you brought music up, because in our final segment today, we are going to talk about our favorite hobbies for crisis. So seriously, we love lifestyle. We spend a lot of our time doing activities that make us feel better. So don't leave. Stay with us. Come back for our final segment, because we are going to talk about our favorite hobbies and lifestyle techniques for dealing with families in crisis.
Stop enabling being codependent and being in a dysfunctional family dynamic. If this sounds like something you need, then ReachOutRecovery.com can help. A pioneer in providing wellness information and resources which address not only addiction and recovery, but mental health and relationships. ReachOutRecovery.com is your first stop for help, with over 2,000 easy-to-understand mental health and relationship articles, and award-winning self-help books, courses, and so much more. So don't wait. Visit ReachOutRecovery.com and get the help you need now. Stop enabling being codependent and being in a dysfunctional family dynamic. If this sounds like something you need, then ReachOutRecovery.com can help. A pioneer in providing wellness information and resources which address not only addiction and recovery, but mental health and relationships. ReachOutRecovery.com is your first stop for help, with over 2,000 easy-to-understand mental health and relationship articles, and award-winning self-help books, courses, and so much more. So don't wait. Visit ReachOutRecovery.com and get the help you need now.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
There's a place called ReachOutRecovery.com, and here there is a wonderful store which has a plethora of transformative books, posters, and downloads for recovery and personal growth. There's fun things with purpose, too, like a gorgeous best-selling coloring book with journal prompts for step work healing, teen guide to health, and workbooks recommended by Oprah's Book Club. Come to ReachOutRecovery.com and visit their store. There's bound to be something you, a family member, or a friend can use. Go there now, the store, at ReachOutRecovery.com. Leslie and Lindsay Glass offer a curriculum of transformational tools with 3 other books. It's a way to learn information with fun activities, discussions, journaling, and more. Whether you are an individual or a group, these curriculums have been taught successfully in recovery and reentry programs all over the country. The Teen Guide to Health and 100 Tips for Growing Up is perfect for any group working with teens. Leslie and Lindsay can even customize curriculums and teacher trainers. To get more info, use the Contact Us tab at ReachOutRecovery.com.
The bright side of talk. HealthyLife.net.
Okay, welcome back to Overcoming Family. Today we're talking about overcoming children, and in our final segment today, we are going to talk about lifestyle things. We are big believers in something called the recovery lifestyle, and that is because everybody is recovering from something. So it's really important to remember we all have broken hearts. We all have family members who have hurt us. We all have had fights that we felt we couldn't get over. But when we create a lifestyle that includes nurturing things, things that we love, things that make us feel good, it really helps us get through day by day. So we're going to start with Leslie. So she was talking a bit before about when we had our breakup, and suddenly she started turning the music back on. Tell us all the things you started doing.
Well, when I thought that you were never going to be back in my life again, I had to decide whether I was going to cave, live with a broken heart, and never have a happy moment again, or I was going to recover who I was before I met you. How about that? Recover who I was before your problems became overwhelming for me. So I turned on the music, I started listening to music again. I also loved watching Hallmark movies. And the reason I watched Hallmark movies because they were always about families, and I was always able to cry. And it was interesting to be able to bring my emotions to a place, because I couldn't cry about you.
It was an outlet.
It was a way for me to cry. But if you also watch Comedy Central, you can laugh, and being able to access your sadness and your happiness, not in relation to the person who's driving you crazy.
Right.
That's really awesome. Another thing that I started doing, because I did go to a psychic, and I wanted to know why my daughter did this to me, why she left me, and it was very interesting because I was actually focusing my energy on letting go, trying to let you know from very far away that I was letting go. But Lindsay, I know you want me to talk about cooking because I think cooking is really the essence of life, and it certainly is for many, many cultures. And I love to, and the more I learn about healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, healthy diet, you really concentrate on what's going into your body and where you're getting it from. So
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to jump in and say, yes, part of this is about putting things in your body that are going to make you feel better,
yes,
not feel worse.
Yes.
The other thing is, when she says she loves cooking, you need to understand that this woman makes her own bread. She makes her own yogurt. She makes her own applesauce. She bakes something every other day. We've now started making our own candy. We have a chocolate making section in our house. She cooks sauces. She can make Chinese food. And the constant cooking provides a lot of things for this family that we have now. First of all, there's the delicious smells.
Oh, let's talk about five senses.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about the five senses. But constantly having these delicious smells and nurturing foods is really a beautiful thing. Not only for people in general, but for people who are trying to heal. I think that the activity of shopping for food, cooking the meal, enjoying the meal can be incredibly therapeutic. So we really encourage people, whether you know how to cook or not, to learn how to make the things that you love because, A, it can be cost-effective.
Very cost-effective.
But, two, there's kind of nothing better when you have a free Sunday and you don't have anything to do than actually plan a meal, go out, get the ingredients, and take all the actions that go into making it. It's an incredibly satisfying activity. So we love cooking. It was one of the things that brought us together in our family of origin at the beginning. It's one of the things we use to help heal us. And now it's something we do together.
Yes, we go shopping together, and we create the meals that make us happy. But talk about the five senses. It's touching. If you're going to make bread or you're going to make chocolate, you're dipping.
Well,
it's smell, taste.
Yeah, so they talk about the five senses because I'm a big person I just want to be comfortable, right? So for me, when I'm doing my recovery lifestyle, it's everything. I actually have very soft blankets on the sofa because it feels good to me to have very soft things touching me. So you want to have smells that smell good, whether it's food or candles. You want to be able to feel some things that feel pleasant, whether it's animals or soft blankets. You want to be able to hear things that are pleasing to you.
Your music.
Yeah. All of these things are going to create an environment that are actually going to make you feel a lot better. And then the other two big ones that I just don't ever want to forget about is we both have a physical practice. You do Tai Chi.
Yes, I do. Oh, that was one of the things I started when you were not in my life.
Now, what does Tai Chi do for you?
Well, it synchronizes brain and spirituality and physicality all at the same time. You're learning movement. Zumba does it too. Yoga does it. there are a lot of different.
But Tai Chi
practices.
is good because it's not super strenuous.
It is if you're advanced.
Oh, it is if you're advanced.
There you go. Hey.
All right. Well, I'm doing stretch yoga.
Okay.
And I'm walking with the dog because
walking is great.
Another thing is getting outside into nature.
Oh, very important.
Which is just so important for my mental health and my anxiety. You know, we were talking about it before. We have a new workbook out. I've been a little manic.
Yeah.
And what that means is I've had a lot of energy. My heart has kind of been racing. Sometimes it's hard for me to manage my own, I don't even know what to call it, excitement, anxiety, whatever it is, but I feel it physically, and it's not pleasant. And in order to manage that, I have to take long walks, I have to go into nature, I have to do yoga, and I have to find spiritual practices that really get me out of myself. So I share that because if you're parenting, if you're in a tough situation, being able to just jump into a practice that can get you out of your anxiety state for even 10, 15 minutes is incredibly beneficial to your mental health.
Well, I think that all of the things that we're talking about are the things when we tell parents to take care of themselves, that these are all things that you can do to take care of yourself. Read a book, listen to music, have that space. You're putting yourself into your own space so that you can feel that you're your own person, that you're not being ruled by somebody else who may not be doing well. And it's not your responsibility to make that person okay. But the other thing that we haven't discussed so much is when your loved one, your child, is really angry at you.
Well, we're kind of running out of time for that one, so let's just say we're going to put a pin in that, and we'll talk about it next time. We'll write an article about it. So, to people listening, you can find all of this and so much more on our website at reachoutrecovery.com. We do have assessments and quizzes on our website so that you can see where you're at with your different issues. We have a line of self-help books, including our new mother-daughter workbook, which is on sale for pre-sale right now. So please go to reachoutrecovery.com. Follow us on any platform, Facebook, Meta, LinkedIn. We're at reachoutrecovery.com. And, yeah, like us, follow us, and just remember, you can't overcome your children. You can only overcome your reactions, your fears, and your expectations. But when you do that, you open the door to real connection. So follow us. Go to our website, and Leslie, do you want to say anything else?
I'll see you soon. So, yes, you can overcome your children even if they're very angry at you right now. Do all the things that we did to learn how to manage yourself, your emotions, and serenity will come.
There you go. Have a great day.